All right, thanks for checking in with the New England Weather Life. Technical discussion being recorded as of, let's see, Tuesday afternoon. Let's take a look at what's going on with the radars, and you can see how, of course, our storm is moving up, right? Of course, this morning it was a tough forecast, and it was a tough forecast because we had seen the NAM just for days now, just becoming just it had set its mind that the storm would come close to New England but miss us to the south. And then the GFS for a while has also brought up rather bullishly, and maybe too much so, the precipitation well north. Well, this morning we finally had the trends being cleared among the guidance, and I'm going to get to that in a second, but let's get an analysis of what's going on. Basically, here's the radar showing you the storm has moved north. It's very heavy precipitation. I talked about in yesterday's video the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee getting clocked with significant snowfall. That verified. Chattanooga had an unofficial report of about 7 inches in the city itself. While at the same time you head further north, it's rain. However, you head further south, it's snow. Well, let's take a look at what's going on now. And basically, the current observations over New England are concerning to some point as a forecaster because basically they are way too warm to snow. You've got 48 degrees being reported over a wide area of interior New England, and then it's 40 all the way up beyond the Canadian border. But what do you notice as you shift the map further south and east, or excuse me, further south and west? Look at that cold air that exists over the Appalachians. That's indicative that what's happening here is when you've got when the precipitation falls from the moist air, basically the snow and rain from the storm, then it cools down the atmosphere. You've also got dry and warm air ahead of it. All of this convection basically cools down the atmosphere. So that's what we've been seeing down in the Appalachians. However, we've also got plenty of dry air coming into Maine. Now, when the storm moves north, it should cool down the temperatures enough so that we should be looking at temps, probably just a few degrees above freezing, which would be pretty good for snowfall accumulation. If I didn't tell you that, if you just looked at the current temps and assumed they would be valid for Wednesday, and when we were going to be looking at the storm coming through, this would certainly going to be concerning to some point as a forecaster, because you've got 50 degrees being reported now at Hartford, and you've got about 45 being recorded in the Metro West Boston area, about 40 on Cape Cod. Now, of course, I talked about how these temps should shift and cool as time goes on. So essentially, let's take a look at what's going on with the NAM. Talked about the NAM shifting north. You don't have to take my word for it. I can show you the NAM. Brings the precipitation all the way up into southern New Hampshire. Heavier precipitation south and east of Boston. Sticks around. I'm going to show you the GFS in just a second, but what's happening here, I mean, guys, it's March, okay? The sun angle is getting a little high in the sky, and it's becoming the time of year when you really you have to snow hard to see the kind of precipitation that would accumulate snowfall. And if you don't snow hard, then it's basically melting as fast as it's accumulating, or close to that. And when you see that happen, then you can't get a snowstorm during March when that's happening. And even if you do see the air getting cooler when the storm comes in, it's still something a concern for us. But essentially, I think even with this, I'm still sticking with some snow at least coming through. And it's probably going to be a couple of inches for a lot of spots. I'll get to the accumulations in a minute. I have a snowfall accumulation map that I'll post below this video. I'll also explain it in the video. So here's the GFS for now. For several days now, it's of course been bullish, bringing the precipitation way up into southern New England. Today, the question is, did it shift further south? Were we talking about with the NAM shifting further north? Did this shift further south, and we're all settled in? Not exactly. The GFS bringing the shield of precip moderate to heavy all the way up to the Mass New Hampshire border. And in this kind of a scenario, you'd probably be talking about the heaviest spots, which is going to be out on Cape Cod. There's plenty of agreements in that. You'd probably be talking about a plowable snowfall at least, and probably 8 to 12 inches out on Cape Cod based on the GFS solution. I'm not buying that at all, and I don't think you should. But at least at this point, the most likely scenario is basically in my snowfall accumulation map. You should be accumulating very slowly in most spots until the evening hours when this comes through. Oh, and by the way, I just gave you a sneak preview of the snowfall cums map. I just want to give you one piece of data analysis here. which I forgot for a second. Oh yeah, most of the day Wednesday. This is actually a huge factor. People have been talking about the Wednesday storm, okay? It will be a storm coming on Wednesday, but it won't be during the day on Wednesday. During the day on Wednesday, you should be fine until about 5 o'clock. So, this is kind of sidetracking it, but I know it's a really important factor. It takes you until probably Wednesday 5 p.m. to be able to crank out the precip. And then through the night Wednesday, you're cranking. And so that's essentially what's going to go on. And actually, through the day Thursday, an inverted trough will shift over the Cape Cod Canal, and that should allow for bands of ocean effect snow to come through the day on Thursday. Now back to the accumulations map. Basically, this is what we're going to be talking about. It's adjusting to 2 inches all the way up to the Mass New Hampshire border. Most spots should be on the lower end of that. I'm thinking maybe dusting to an inch for most folks. Maybe closer to 2 inches around Boston or just interior Boston. Maybe around Saugus or Danvers or Beverly. And then you're about 3 to 4 interior southeast Mass, and then I think the southeast coastal Mass, probably about 3, 2.5, and that's because it's lower snow ratios. Pretty good swath of 3 to 4 across a lot of spots. 4 to 5 on the southern end of that, and you're over 6 inches out on Cape Cod. Now, this is by no means a conservative forecast. This is probably an accurate forecast based on what we're looking at right now. However, we're going to have to watch tomorrow morning's guidance products. I mean, it's pretty sad that we're going to have to be relying on the models even on the day of, but I think that's going to be the kind of situation we're going to be looking at. And it should be a very tough call, but I think at this point, this does a pretty good job of what we're going to be talking about. Now, beyond the storm, of course, it is March, and of course, March is usually a pretty depressing month for snow lovers. We're usually talking about the sun angle again getting too high in the sky, and we just see snow chances just really diminish during the month of March. But a lot of other things change during the month of March. You also see severe thunderstorms becoming a problem across the plains. But I know you don't really care about severe thunderstorms right now. Do we have any chances for significant snowfall or any good juicy weather in the near term or even in the long range? Well, I'm going to start you off with the median range, and I think there's no doubt that behind the storm, by the time we get to Saturday, most of the weekend should be much colder than on Wednesday and today. I think we'll be looking at, if I can just find the tool here. No, it's not working today. But I think we should be probably pretty much colder behind the system. Colder air will be entering behind, as we do often see with storms. So that should lead to a February, early March-like weekend. And you should be talking about temps probably around freezing in most spots, probably 20s in northern New England, the North Country. Maybe a warm-up occurs next week, but next week we're going to be looking at the potential for a new storm developing. The GFS really picks up on it, and it's about 8, 9, 10 days out that it really gets itself going, and I can show you the GFS. 180 hours out. What's happening here is basically you've got a new Alberta Clipper that's going to be dropping in from here, kind of like this is indicated right here, and then it drops through the plains, rain snow mix, drops through Michigan, rain snow mix, drops through New England, probably rain. But what happens here's the storm center over Ohio, and then you go through time, it shifts over the mid-Atlantic, retrograding south and east, and then you go to 240 hours out, retrogrades south and east, moves north, bombs south of New England, heavy snow upstate New York, heavy snow much of New England, a heavy band comes through, and I can show you that by the time we get to 216 hours out. Actually, I can maybe 220 hours out. Look at that, coming through southern New England. And so, I mean, this certainly has the potential to be a prolific snow producer for a lot of folks, getting to that time frame. But it's a little too early to call right now. It's just, something fun that we're going to be looking at in the long range. And of course, as always, I'll be with you the whole time. So see you guys later. The next time I might have a technical discussion will be probably tomorrow afternoon. So as soon as I can get back up and it's necessary, I'll be back with you. So see you guys later. It's Nick for the New England Weather Life.ning.com.